Hi, and welcome to the Elements of FAIR video series. This tutorial focuses on how to make research data reusable. In the context of FAIR, reusable research data means that a user, either a human or a machine, is able to determine if the data can be used for other purposes than it was originally collected or created for. Hence, the data needs to be richly described with accurate and relevant information, including a usage license and provenance information about where the data came from. Additionally, the data should use community-endorsed standards, such as well-established ways of documenting metadata with templates, vocabularies, and sustainable file formats. The usage rights of your data should be described clearly, so potential users know what conditions apply to reusing the data. It is important that they are explicit for both humans and machines. This becomes especially important when searches are done automatically with licensing considerations. There are different license types, but the Creative Commons licenses are most widely used and machine actionable, as was discussed in the Accessible tutorial of this Elements of FAIR video series. Publishing data in a trusted repository will guide you with licensing. For a reuser to determine if your data authenticity can be trusted, you need to provide information that presents the history of the dataset. This is called provenance or lineage metadata. It also includes information about how to cite the dataset and who to acknowledge. What lineage metadata is needed depends on your data type and research field, but you should include at least the following. How were the data generated or collected? For example, what methods, models, software, or instruments were used? Does the dataset contain reused data from someone else which has been combined with your data? When were the data created or collected? Who were involved in the data collection or generation? How has the data been validated and processed, as well as information about data versioning, such as are there other data versions and how the data was changed? To be as transparent as possible for the reuser about the history of the dataset, get familiar with your research field practices to meet the community needs. Data lineage information can be included in the metadata, for example by using persistent identifiers, which were introduced in the Findable episode of this Elements of FAIR video series. Contributors can be identified with an ORCID, and software or instruments, for example with a DOI. However, lineage documentation can also be included in the metadata as interlinked digital research objects that are created to describe and package the processing, methods, or analysis to make the research reproducible. Workflows can be described, for example, with the common workflow language and published in a repository where the workflow can be cited in the metadata. Reusability can also be increased by using and citing shared definitions such as semantic artifacts, meaning controlled vocabularies, thesauruses, or ontologies, to express the content of the metadata unambiguously. Pointers to these semantic resources should also be available in the metadata in a machine actionable way. In some research domains, these semantic resources are shared in a specific ontology library. OBO Foundry, for example, provides a suite of high-quality, interoperable, free and open source tools for sharing scientific knowledge and making new discoveries. Another aspect for enhancing reuse is similarity. It is easier to understand and reuse data if it is similar to yours. This can be, for example, similar data types and data organization, sustainable and widely used file formats, or documentation methods that follow common templates and terminology. All of these help make data more understandable and consequently more reusable. To make datasets similar in your research field or domain, use community-endorsed standards or any other commonly agreed best practices. You can use, for example, Darwin Core Standard with biodiversity data. Using standards will reduce the risk of misunderstanding or misinterpretation of values or terms by others. Some research domains have more formal standards, vocabularies, or ontologies than others, but as long as using common ways of publishing data and metadata increases the usability of data, it also increases fairness. To find metadata standards for your field of science, you can browse DCC Disciplinary Metadata Catalog. Also, when publishing data in a discipline-specific repository, the repository most likely supports community standards and may recommend you to use one. Hence, it is beneficial to plan ahead where to publish data, so you can start using the preferred standard early on in your research project. This is the last episode of our Elements of FAIR video series. FAIR emphasizes reuse of data and machine actionability, as the volume and complexity of data is continuously growing. Making research data fair requires well-planned data management and following domain-specific practices when possible. Using trusted services for data publishing will help in providing discovery metadata in a machine-actionable format. You can always ask for help in making research data fair from your home institution support services. Thank you for watching and good luck in your FAIR data journey.